Hey guys, we are on day 259 in our Bible reading plan, and today we're reading in the book of Daniel, chapters 10 through 12. And chapter 10 is going to start out with Daniel having another vision, and it spans the pages of chapter 10, chapter 11, and chapter 12, and it's really similar to the vision that we just read in yesterday's reading when we were reading chapter 7 through 9. So it's going to tell us of three kingdoms that are going to rise up out of Persia, out of the Persian Empire, and a fourth greater kingdom that's more powerful than the rest. And it's going to be similar to this description, the progression that we read yesterday of the kingdoms in the vision we read about. Again, this progression was Persia to Greece to Alexander the Great. And then we read about lesser kings in this vision that will be rising up. The great king of the north is going to come and invade Jerusalem. And when he does, he's going to set up idols in the temple. He's going to exalt himself higher than God. And then all of a sudden, his rule and his reign is going to come to an end. The king from the south is going to rise up, come against him, and he too is going to come to ruin. At the end of chapter 11, in verse 45, we read, "He will pitch his royal tents between the seas at the beautiful holy mountain, yet he will come to his end and no one will help him." Then chapter 12, we read that there will be a time of distress such as has never been experienced before, not from the beginning of time by any of the nations until then. There's nothing that's going to be like this time of distress and turmoil. But the good news and the hope that we find in chapter 12 is that everyone whose name is found written in the book will be delivered. We're not told when this time is coming. We're told that that time will come to an end. We're not told when it will come to an end exactly. It's up for debate. A lot of the timing of these things is debatable. But I think one thing that really, as we're reading through all of this, we continually see this pattern of nation rising up against nation, kingdom toppling kingdom, and the Lord not being exalted over any of it. And so the Lord bringing these nations to an end and their reign to an end. And if we look back over the course of history, we will see from ancient civilizations all the way through modern day that this pattern is humanity's natural bent and normal cycle that we tend to follow, that kingdom rises up against kingdom, nation rises up against nation, ruler exalts himself above God over and over and over again, and the Lord will not stand for that forever, and he will bring those nations to an end, and he will bring about his reign in the earth, and he will bring those faithful who believe in him, who follow him, who exalt him and give him his rightful place in their lives and in this earth, a place in his future kingdom. And I think that the thing that really stood out to me as I was reading through all of this repeated pattern through these prophecies, is that I don't know exactly how much of this all is exactly has already happened, how much of it, I mean, we know that the chain of events of Persia and the Medes and Greece and Egypt and all of these things have come to pass. We also know that they continue, that these patterns do continue to happen. And so, as Brian talked about yesterday, there is this now in the near future of when Daniel has this prophecy, and the not yet, and what's still coming, and what age we're living in. And I don't know all of the answers to that, but I think that the important thing as we're reading through this is that we recognize this natural bent of humanity, our natural tendency to continue to exalt ourselves and our nations and our kingdoms above the Lord, and that we really should humble our hearts as Daniel does. The beginning of chapter 10 is so interesting. It really breaks from these other two chapters in that it describes the coming of the man who tells Daniel all of these and the vision that he has. Daniel has been fasting, he has been praying, he has been lamenting and mourning all of these events that he has seen that are coming to pass, and he sees a man who comes to him. And this is what it says, this vision of the Lord. It says, "I looked up, and there before me was a man dressed in linen, with a belt of fine gold from Uphaz around his waist. His body was like topaz, his face like lightning, his eyes like flaming torches, his arms and legs like the gleam of burnished bronze, and his voice like the sound of the multitude." And this man says to Daniel, "Do not be afraid, Daniel." In verse 12, "Since the first day that you set your mind to gain understanding and to humble yourself before your God, Your words were heard, and I have come in response to them. And then in verse 14, he says, now I have come to explain to you what will happen to your people in the future, for the vision concerns a time yet to come. And the thing that really strikes me is just the acknowledgement of the Lord of Daniel's humble character and spirit in all of this, that Daniel is humbling himself before the Lord, that he is exalting the Lord. He's giving the Lord his rightful place. The Lord knows his own timing. The Lord knows what is to come. The Lord has sovereignty over all of this earth, and Daniel recognizes that and puts himself in a position to the Lord where he is in a humble place. He is searching and seeking answers from the Lord. He is not exalting himself in any of this, and I think that stands in such stark contrast to the nations and the kingdoms and the rulers that are rising up and taking what they can for themselves and exalting themselves above the Lord and not recognizing his authority. So let us be a people who do recognize the authority of God in this earth. Let us be a people who are willing to humble ourselves and seek the Lord, who are willing to seek him first in our understanding of his word, of his message, of his call, of repentance to us, to our families, to our towns, our nations, our kingdoms that we are part of and living in. Let us be a people who humbly seek God for his word to us and call to us in this day. I hope that encourages you as you're reading through all of this. I would love to hear how God is speaking to you through his word today. So drop a comment in the Bible app and let's talk some more about this later. Have a great day, guys.